Not the Footy show.
Point and plug it in and just things like that. And then you've always got the batteries topped up, which is good for batteries.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not kind of running it into the earth, all the time, because that's bad for batteries to get down. So there's your lesson in EVs.
Thanks, mate. I'll open the podcast with that, eh?
Yeah, not the EV show.
Mate, the Recruitment Whisperers, it's still happening.
Welcome to the Recruitment Whisperers. No, not the Footy show.
Mate, that's the only reason I'm doing this, mate, because I'm looking forward to that.
It would sell subscriptions. Like, we just have to say this player could sign with this player, and bang, there's a show. That's a show.
You want to go with me to NBC?
Yeah, I think we really got something in.
What do we got?
An idea.
What idea?
An idea for the show.
I still don't know what the idea is.
It's about nothing.
Right.
Everybody's doing something. We'll do nothing.
So we go into NBC, we tell them I got an idea for a show about nothing.
Exactly.
They say, what's your show about? I say nothing.
There you go.
I think you may have something here.
G'day everyone, it's Woz. Unfortunately, Cocksmith's audio isn't great in this episode. It's just what it is, those electric cars. As you'll hear, it was just where he was driving. So apologies, there are times where it's quite hard to hear, but hopefully you get the gist of it. And we'll make sure it's rectified for the next episode. Good luck, Parramatta.
Not the Footy show.
G'day everybody, welcome to episode 259 of Not the Footy Show. I'm Warrick Nicolson. Robb Cox, guess where he is? Yes, he's in a car. And this is your prelim finals preview for 2022. How you doing, Coxman?
I'm good, mate. Good. I'm working on a public holiday, so that's not so good. But, hey, it wasn't always a public holiday, and I had work planned, so I'm working.
Nice. Now, you're not just in a car. I just sat through 25 minutes of my life that I can't get back, finding out all about electronic cars. In about 3 seconds, why are electronic cars good and petrol cars bad, sir?
Well, it's an electric car, and it's mate. I don't know. It's just something different. It's very quiet. It's beautiful and smooth. There's probably children digging lithium out of the ground somewhere in some third world country that's probably not good about it. But it doesn't spew out fumes or anything like that. So
very good.
While we stay in Australia, insulated by third world countries, we're good.
Well, I hope everyone's had a guilt trip right now. That's good. I'm
not on a guilt trip.
Very, very inferior. Funnily enough, one of my clients is mining for lithium. So that's, swings and roundabouts and the world coming together and all that kind of stuff. Speaking of the world coming together.
I've told you they need my services too, by the way. So
they do. We do. We're working on that. We're working on that. Chile, here we come. We're going to talk about the world coming together. Parramatta, we did maybe go into a little bit of depth about them in the fact they're playing a prelim final for the first time, I think, since 2009 this weekend. And we asked the question, who's under the most pressure? Well, I went to Twitter because, that's where the truth is in the world. And I asked the question, who's under the most pressure to deliver an NRL Premiership in 2022? The Penrith Panthers, the South Sydney Rabbitohs, North Queensland Cowboys, or Parramatta-Eels? There were 41 votes, Cocksmith. Who do you think had 70.7% of the vote?
Parramatta.
The Parramatta-Eels, they streeted.
Even the lefties can be right, mate, sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. 70.7. So there's definitive proof, Mickey, you're under the most pressure. Penrith Panthers next with 19.5. And then there's a couple of votes here and there for South Sydney and North Queensland, 4.9% each. But Parramatta.
Well, I think they're all under pressure, mate. Because think about it, right? I actually think North Queensland are probably under the least pressure, but there's a high expectation from your fans. But if you break it down, Parramatta are under pressure because they haven't won anything forever. South are under pressure because they couldn't do the job last year. Penrith are under pressure because they're defending premiers. And North Queensland are playing the silent game. I reckon they're the ones with the least amount of pressure.
See, the thing is, I reckon there's a lot of pressure on the Cowboys, and I'll tell you this is the reason why. They've come from nowhere, all right? They've got a new coach, rookie coach, Todd Payton's in there, and they've come from 15th or wherever they came from last year. There's no guarantees this team's coming back next year. This could be one of those flash-in-the-pan jobs. So if you blow this opportunity, North Queensland, home prelim final, in front of all your fans, tell you what, it might be a few years before you're back here. Or,
you're trying to stack it on. You're trying to stack it on, mate.
You don't win the comp for 40 years. These things happen. I also asked the other question, which is, what do you think the grand final setup is going to be? So far, there's been 46 votes. There's still 7 hours left on the thing. But Panthers-Cowboys is second with 34.8%. Panthers-Eels is 39.1%, number out one. And then South-Cowboys, 10.9%. South-Eels, 15.2%. Cocksmith, that's what the numbers say. That's what the masses say. But what do you say? That's what people care about here on Not the Footy Show is just what you give as a tip, because no one cares that when I tip, I get it right. What are you again? 1 from 6 for the semi-finals?
Yes.
Yep. Friday night, North Queensland, Parramatta. It's sold out. The North Queenslanders took a few days, but they got there eventually. We'll get to the other game and their issues with crowds in a second. But right now, are you sticking with the Cowboys to beat Parramatta, or are you thinking, maybe the fairy tale can come true?
Oh, the fairy tale can come true. There's no doubt. I'm going to get splinters in my backside this week because anything can happen. We know that anything can happen in a prelim final. My heart says the Cowboys because they're at home and it's a bit warmer up there and it's not going to be comfortable from Parramatta. But the way that Parramatta have been playing, you just don't know. Again, we've said this before, which Parramatta are going to turn up.
Yeah.
The Parramatta that turned up last week against the Raiders or the Parramatta that played the week before against Penrith. I don't know. So it's up to you, Parramatta. I think it's there to win, but you're going to have to be on your good game to beat the Cowboys. Okay, so there's my sitting on the fence, but I'll stick with the Cowboys for now.
Yeah, Parramatta have one injury issue. Tom Opacek looks like he's got a hamstring injury. We'll probably keep him out. So do you think Brad Arthur moves Wanga Blake into the centres like he should and brings Bailey Simonson on the wing, or does he manufacture the Nicolson centre job and leave Wanga Blake on the wing to be exposed by those bombs?
Oh, why not put Jake Arthur in there? Joke. He's got to put Wanga Blake there, mate, because Nicolson is a bit more important, a little closer to the middle, I think. Yep. That's what I would do. Yeah,
if you take him off the bench, your bench then is Cartwright, Arthur, and Kafusi. Kafusi's been doing a great job. I like the fact that Bryce Cartwright's back in that squad. He just offers something different. And then the question is, if you move Nicolson into the centres, you can bring Nathan Brown on the bench if you want to, because Makaheshi Makatoya has actually been dropped. They've only been using him very sparingly in the first 2 semis. And now he's out entirely. Looks like Mitchell Moses is fine. I did note that he had quite a heavy bit of strapping on his left hand. Looks like he might have, I reckon there's a very good chance he's got some busted digits. So if you're the Cowboys, I would be making him do as much defence as possible this week, because it only takes one half incorrect way of approaching a tackle and those fingers can wake up very, very quickly. The problem with Para is they've played 2 weeks in a row, and if it is warm or humid, which is probably the main thing, it's going to be up there in Townsville. Backing up is going to get a bit harder. I know Para fans are believing and they've already got themselves in the grand final, but I just don't think it happens. And the reason is I think the Cowboys have been focused on one thing all week, and arguably all year. But you remember when we podcasted the rare times we did during the year and we sort of said, Cowboys have that smell of a team that could get to the finals and go out in straight sets when they're under pressure defensively. Well, we were wrong. It wasn't the Cowboys. It was the Sharks. And that's what happened to them. The Cowboys.
That's what I meant, Sharks.
Yeah, we both. I think we both had Sharks in the grand final at the start of the final, so we've done well. At least that's been consistent for you. But the Cowboys, they came back from a 10-point deficit to the Sharks, 10 or 12 points with 15 to go. They rallied. They looked the better team in extra time, and they won in Golden Point. I know they conceded 30 in that game, but they didn't concede anything for the last half an hour of that match. And to me, that's the thing that Peyton's going to be on them massively. And it links back to the whole Mitchell Moses, Parramatta start well mentality. If Cowboys can find their defensive resolve, which they've found at times this year, I reckon they do a number on Parramatta. I just think if they stand up to them and the Taumalolo show continues to flow, and I do like their bench of Leilua, Hess and Griffin Neame, who's been very good for them in short spurts. I just have a feeling that the defensively aspect of the Cowboys is going to shine in this game. The conditions might work against Parramatta a little bit more. And at the end of the day, they've got Drinkwater, Holmes, even Peter Hiku. They've got points in them in the back line. And I still look at Parramatta's 3-quarter line and just don't get excited. So I'm sticking with the Cowboys too.
Yeah, mate. I mean, look, it makes sense, doesn't it? They've had the extra week to freshen up. They've probably had some niggling injuries, like every team does. They've had that chance to recover a bit more. They've had a chance to think about it. They've kind of known who they're going to be playing, because it had to be one of two teams that they were going to play, and you know, they're really in the box seat, and that's really why I'm tipping them. It could be different for me if it was at you know, the SFS. Or somewhere in Sydney, it could be different. But I think that grind of getting into the finals and you know, losing the first one, and then, you know, picking yourself up for the next one, it gets you mentally after a while. Whereas the Cowboys have had a pretty, you know, clean run, and I think they're just going to be fresher. So yeah, I'll stick with the Cowboys too.
Yeah, big plus for the Cowboys in those conditions as well is that Reece Robson's had just a fantastic season. And I think he will give Junior Paulo and Regan Campbell-Gillard and Madison and co fits around the dummy half area, and that works into the whole conditions thing. Because if they're going to work them over in the last sort of 2 or 3 tackles of every set, because the work that Cowboys 3/4 line does coming out of their own end is second to none in the NRL. I reckon they're the best of getting extra runs out of the likes of Holmes and Hiku. No centres run more than those two. And it frees up the drink waters of the world to play as a ball player. And I just think that's a really huge advantage for the Cowboys, especially if Robson's on song. So I'm sticking with the Cowboys. I've got them by 2. It's going to be close. I think Parra do have a few points in them, but I don't know if they'll have more than 3 tries. And I think the Cowboys have got 4 of them. So
well, put it this way, mate. Sorry to interrupt, but put it this way. I think, let's pretend either one of South or Penrith get into the grand final. Who would they prefer to play? And I think it'd be Parramatta that they prefer to play than the Cowboys, because the Cowboys are a little unpredictable, and they're very energetic. They're very mobile. They'll make you work. Whereas Parramatta can lull in and out of a game. So, you know, that kind of tells you what you want to know. Either Parramatta will win it with brute force and run over the top of them, or the Cowboys will just keep at them, and, you know, like a little angry dog, just keep nipping the heels until you know it something happens. So, but I think that it'll be the latter, mate. I think Cowboys.
Cowboys by how many did you say?
I'm going to say Cowboys by 8.
8. Ooh, that's significant. I've got 2, but I don't know. One's enough. That's the way you got to look at it. And the thing with the Cowboys is I always feel like they're never out of the match with the way they can play football. I don't feel the same way about the Eels. So that's really what's tipping up to my sensibility. And as you say, if it was in Sydney, all the Para fans would be out there, and that would be a big factor. But it ain't. It's at Townsville. It's going to be all North Queensland pretty much with the crowd. So we've both got Cowboys going through. Sorry, Parramatta. It's just how we feel about it. But then again, we were both wrong about you last week. Penrith and South, Saturday night, in front of what might be an average crowd. I got a thing through a WhatsApp group yesterday, and it looks like the NRL are already offering 2-for-1 tickets to the Penrith South Sydney prelim final. Like, seriously, what is going on when that's happening on Wednesday?
Well, how much are the tickets? That's what I
don't think it's that expensive. I really don't think it's that expensive. If you just want to talk amongst yourself for half a second,
I'll play some elevator music.
Yeah.
I know that the tickets to the Sydney Football Stadium games were pretty expensive, you know, and the food was excessively expensive. So, mate, it could be a thing. It's going to be live on TV. I know that it's not quite like being at the football, but I think that there is a little bit of burnout here with people. You know, like, it's economically at the moment, it's not great in Australia. You know, we're paying record prices for fuel, etc. Vegetables and food are through the roof. Yeah. You know, when you've got to pay, I don't know, $90, $80 a ticket.
$35 is the cheapest. All right.
Yep.
That's the cheapest seat. Category 1.
We're at Homebush, right?
Yeah, Homebush. And Category 1, which are the ones on the side, on the inner bowl, are $85 each.
85, yeah. So because that stadium's quite big, you know, you are, when you're away from the action, you're a fair bit away from it. It's not like the Footy Stadium or Parramatta Stadium. You know, I think it would have been a better choice to go to Parramatta Stadium for that game and fill it up. But 2-for-1, like you say, they're probably desperate.
It's got to be a core. It's just I don't know why the fans don't want to go. I don't know. I just don't know why they don't want to go.
But why does it got to be there?
Because it's got to accommodate.
South's home ground too.
There's going to be apparently for at least another year. Gee, I read that press release yesterday from South, and it was like, yeah, we'll come back. That was pretty much the attitude.
Kicking stones.
It was.
We're going to kick stones all the way back.
We're proud to be in our spiritual home of eastern suburbs. I mean Redfern. I just don't get why people don't want to go to this game. I know the weather's supposed to be ordinary this weekend. As a cricket player, with the season supposed to start, I very much understand that.
I think you should go. You should go to the game.
No, my team isn't there. Why would I bother? That's what I'm saying. Where are the Penrith and South fans?
Well, you can go watch a couple of better teams.
Yeah, I will say this though, as a neutral fan, if you're not doing anything on Saturday, why aren't you there?
Because I'm watching it on TV, mate. That's why.
Get yourself another dose of MT. Bit of Matt Thompson. Love it. South Sydney. They don't have any forwards on their bench, as we sort of expected when we did the review. Their bench for this game is, shall we say, light. It's Cody Nikorima, Hame Sele,
that's an order.
Cam, and Cartwright. No Sevilla Havili, no Tom Burgess. Is it no hope for South because of that, or do you still give them some hope because of the Mitchell Walker show?
I still give them hope, mate. I mean, the way that they've been playing and with South and their energy man at the back, because that's what I described him as in a text message, and I think it fits him perfectly. Yeah. He's the energy man. When he's chirping and barking and he's got his chest out and he's strutting around like Conor McGregor, they lift. They dance to the tune that Latrell's playing, and he's the key to stopping South. You stop Latrell, you stop South. Don't worry about Walker, right? Walker can be contained, but Latrell is like the Hulk. Really, I mean, he is. He throws people off. If he wants to do something, he generally does what he wants to do. Yep. But he's very much a confidence player as well, or a very what's it called? He loves a confrontation.
Confrontational.
If a confrontation happens, he sparks up. It lights him up, and we saw that last year with Manu. After he crushed Manu's skull, he came back on all lit up. And that's what he's like. And South lift with his energy. So you keep him suffocated, South won't do all that much. I mean, I know that they were good last week. They were good through the middle as well, and he was pretty quiet, but he wasn't also too isolated. So they can win. They can win this game, South. There's no doubt in my mind.
Okay, so if you look at Latrell Mitchell as a player who can win you a game, Cody Walker is the one who might say by how much. That's the differentiator that I have for those two. It's not a bad thing.
It's a left edge.
He's that devastating. How is Latrell Mitchell not got a sponsorship deal or third-party deal with Energizer yet? Because the Energizer Bunny is just the name. How has this not happened yet? Latrell, get on it. Make your people, talk to the Energizer people, and make this thing happen. This is a match made in heaven.
Yeah, absolutely it is, mate. But maybe Energizer don't have enough coin. Maybe they're not.
Because the great thing about Latrell is that when it comes to September, he's always there. He's always making a difference.
Kick the can, so to
except
speak.
the last 2 years when he hasn't played any football in September. The thing about the bench for South, if we just go back to that for a second, is the fact that if you're going to go up any team that doesn't have a great bench, and I'm on this all the time, it's probably Penrith. And that doesn't mean that they haven't got a good bench. They just haven't got a great bench. Their bench is Mitch Kenny, Scott Sorensen, Spencer Lino, and Jamin Salmon. If you ever had to, match up two benches when you're under strength, this is the bench you want to come up against, because Penrith's strength is that starting pack. It's the way that they then rotate Fisher Harris and Leota back into the game. And I just think it's not going to hurt them as much as it might have hurt them against another team with a better bench, is I guess the point I'm trying to make. And South Sydney's forward packs, the starting pack is Totola, Cook, Nichols, Kalamatangi, Arrow, and Murray. It's good.
Yeah, mate, I'm not sure. Look, I think South's bench is so weak at the moment in this particular game that I know that Penrith's bench isn't made up of superstars, but they do come on and they do a job. And I think that Penrith's pack is strong enough to take South's pack any time of the year. So I think that Penrith will like that the bench isn't as strong as usual. I see that as a bonus for Penrith, to be honest.
Okay, so we've basically said South will be in the game as long as Latrell can hold them in there. I think if Cook and Murray stay at the same level they played last week, things are going to go well for them. But we still haven't even addressed Penrith. And we haven't spoken about it for 2 weeks. It's the beauty of them getting the fortnight off is that you sort of forget that their team is pretty handy now. They don't have Taylor May. He is suspended, one of life's great ironies. And they've brought Charlie Staines in to play for them. So that backline for Penrith, it's Edwards, Staines, Tungo, Crichton, To'o, Luai and Cleary. It's just quality, isn't it?
Oh, mate, it's very much a quality backline. And I mean, but the forward pack, the whole team, they've just been playing together for so long that they're formidable. They're formidable as a team. They're formidable individually. Most of them will represent at the end of the year for one country or another.
Yeah.
They're all around the park. They're scary because they're so good. So look, I'm going to pick Penrith in this game. It's a hard one to pick how much because again it's how fast they start and who scores first and what the arm wrestle looks like. But if I've got to pick a score, I say Penrith by 4 to 6.
Okay, 4. I've got Panthers by 2. I'm hoping that we see 2 really close and gripping prelim finals after the 2 blowouts last week. I just think South have got some spots in that back line that Penrith can pick apart. Tane Milne can't catch. He's average defensively. He did have a good game with the ball last week, but I think he's a target. Alex Johnson looks like he is, if he is even going to play. Zaya Tass, he's a young bloke. He's not tested at this level. And Campbell Graham's playing, I think, with some sort of injury at the moment that probably should have him out. So there are spots in this South team that Penrith can target. If you're South Sydney, you just cannot give Penrith ball. If you give Penrith ball, they will pick you apart. They will grind you out of the game. They'll wrestle you out of the game. As was put in an article this morning, they will run decoy blockers in front of Nathan Cleary to kick. I mean, who knew that happened? It's only been happening pretty much ever since Nathan Cleary's come into first grade. And they've just got to find a way to get to Cleary. It's their only option in this match is to shut him down and make Jerome Luai beat you, I reckon.
Yeah, and look, maybe not to the same degree, but that'll be Penrith's idea about Latrell. Latrell's a little bit harder to get at, obviously to shut him down, but you just can't give him too many opportunities. And with South, that will be their game plan to get to Cleary, to rush him on his kick, to pressure him, to hit him a couple of times on his kick, and make him think about how long he's taken to kick, so he doesn't have that amount of time to, drop those pinpoint bombs on whoever he wants to drop them on. Look, they're the two linchpin men of the two teams. Latrell and for South and Cleary for Penrith, obviously, we know that last year Penrith won the grand final, but it was without Latrell, and Souths have been living off that for this year. So This is the game. This is the game we want to see for a couple of reasons. Because first of all, it's a grand final rematch in a high pressure game, and secondly, Souths. I know that they're missing Burgess and a couple of bench players, but they can finally say that they've got their man Latrell in the team, and we get to see them at near full strength.
Go the Energizer Bunny. Do your best. They're the predictions. We've both got Cowboys and Penrith in the grand final for 2022. Just a quick little side before we wrap up the show. Australia are going to be, getting out pen pal forms and trying to find some people to play for them at the World Cup, because Payne Haas is withdrawn, citing family and injury, and Joseph Suali'i has decided to play for Samoa, which begs the question, Cocksmith, and I'm saying this rather facetiously because I'm not being serious, who wants to play for Australia at the World Cup? Because there's going to be some openings.
There's going to be some openings, mate. But look, as the NRL and not the NRL that thinks they run rugby league worldwide, but the NRL domestic competition, need to put their thinking cap on for this, and we highly regard international football as the way forward and the way to expand the game, which I think they should. Then we have to do something about our domestic representative games, and we either have to say in clear-cut terms that the state of origin is a great spectacle, the trial match for the Aussie team. It's the trial series for the Aussie team. If you can't play for Australia, you can't play for New South Wales or Queensland. Now, they either need to say that, or they need to say state of origin is now a free-for-all. If you were born overseas and you come into the NRL, we need you to pledge allegiance to either one of two. And that's the way it should be. I think I like the former, and it's not because I'm some kind of a redneck racist or anything like that. I just like tradition, and I think that that's the way that it was for so long. And we bitch, moaned and complained about a couple of Papua New Guinean players coming in, and then a Fiji player came in, and then, a
New South Wales player came in for Queensland. Yep.
Yes, that's right. And quite a few went into Queensland, from New South Wales, and a couple vice versa. But look, there's nothing worse than rules being muddy and people not knowing. The best way to get the best out of someone is to put some limitations on them. And the same with this competition. We need to say, and we need to draw a line in the sand, a hard line in the sand, and say, this is the way it has to be. It's either a trial for Australia, right? Or it's not. My way of thinking is it should be, because we're going to have quite a few people playing for Australia this year that never played Origin. And that's ridiculous. Why are we even calling it Origin if it's not? Origin means something as a word.
Yeah,
it should be your state of origin. It's where either you were born or where you played your first senior football from 15, 16s up. Yep. So that's the way it should be. But the disclaimer in all of that should be, but if you pledge allegiance to another country, you're not eligible. And if you play for a third second tier country, whether it be Fiji or whether it be Samoa, Tonga, whatever, you can't play. You can't play. Once you've played for that other country, you can't play. That's my way of thinking. What's yours?
Okay, we haven't got heaps of time, but I'm going to just succinctly go back to your first point, which is the NRL thinks they run the game, which they kind of do, and they have never prioritised rep football at the international level. They have to get they've already signed their life away with the TV deal, but we need more international football. The reason that these players are playing for Samoa and Tonga is because it's an opportunity to do so, which is great. I don't have any issues with them picking that. My problem with it is that the NRL has basically put the Kangaroos on ice for a few years, and as a result, they're not playing. And when they're not playing, then opportunities arise elsewhere. At the moment, there is this have your cake and eat it too ability for players who want to play for a different country, but they can play for Origin. That's what it is. That's what it is. Okay, we get that. Why the NRL can't see that having Pacific Tests being played around the same time as Origin is a benefit to the entire international body is beyond me. Because we need more Test matches being played by the likes of Tonga, by the likes of Fiji, Samoa, Papua New Guinea. They need to play more Tests. New Zealand, they need to play more Tests. And if they're playing more Tests, they get the opportunity to play with their teammates more. International game gets better. The problem that's going to happen then, which is a good problem, because we're seeing it right now as a good problem with the World Cup, is that players will have to choose. Do I want to play with Samoa for 3 tests during Origin, or do I want to play for New South Wales or play for Queensland? It's the same argument that's being made why it's okay for the World Cup. It should be a situation where they have to pick, come Origin time, do they want to play Pacific Test matches with the country that they want to play for, which is great, or do they want to have the ability to play for Australia, which is playing Origin? And I'm not dismissing the fact that they want to play for their country of origin. That is fine with me. I'm just saying What we want to see
me too.
More opportunities for them to play for the countries they want to play for. And that means that if it has to go head-to-head with Origin, then so be it. Because the benefit, we get more international football, and rugby league as a whole, enough, it grows, it gets better, and you will see a benefit for the entire game. And we're not seeing that right now. We're getting to this World Cup situation where the head of culture of everything, Mal Meninga, can't get players to play for his own country because he and the organisation that runs the Australian Rugby League haven't presented him an opportunity to bring those players in. And that is the problem. He has to find a way to get on the front foot with that stuff. And they're going to have this issue for a while now. And there's no easy solution because they're going to have to go against what TV says, but this is what they have to do. And otherwise, you're going to have situations where players that would have walked into the Kangaroos, namely probably Suali'i and Haas, one's choosing to play for another country, the other one's choosing not to play at all. If Australia's playing more often and the money is there as well, let's not beat around the bush, then they're going to be playing for Australia. Hudson Young can't wait for the opportunity if he gets it. You heard him say something during the week. Cocksmith, we have 2 minutes
he'll
left,
get picked.
So sum it up.
He'll tour
for us.
He'll tour, mate. But with every, you can't have your cake and eat it too. So I think I agree. There should be a Pacific round robin test series, state of origin time.
Yep.
Right. That should happen. But obviously, what happens then is that the Pacific players will either have to choose, and when they have to choose, they have to pledge allegiance. It can't be a walk-in, walk-out job. You know what I mean? You can't. We want to see more test matches. I don't know when Australia fits into that kind of schedule, but we need to see more test matches. But at the moment, it's so wishy-washy. And the NRL, when they say that they really care about international football, they're not telling the truth. They're porcupine. They care about money.
Yep.
They care about money, mate. It's not about international football. It's about money. What can make the most money for us? And at the moment, State of Origin makes the most money. State of Origin and final series make them a lot of money, and that's what they care about. And if you want to expand the game, if you want to get more people involved, and if you want to have a bigger fan base, which will bring money, you've got to appeal to more countries. And at the moment, we just don't. We definitely appeal to the Pacific Island countries, but you've got to go beyond that. We've already got them. You already got them. Like you got to go to other countries and make it a staple sport, or try.
At least we need to reward those countries in the Pacific with more tests. They need more opportunities, more pathways. Cocksmith, we have a minute left. We're both going Penrith and Cowboys as the grand final. Sorry to South Sydney and Parramatta fans, but it's the way we see it. We'll speak to you all after the prelim finals on the weekend.
Absolutely.
Take us out, Cocksmith.
Okay, mate. I'll catch you later. Pepsi.
Not the Footy show.
Mate, the recruitment whisperers, it's still happening.
Welcome to the Recruitment Whisperers. No, not the Footy show.
Mate, that's the only reason I'm doing this, mate, because I'm looking forward to that.
Not the Footy show.
You been sleeping over there?
Pepsi.